Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for Sega Genesis is widely considered to be an absolute classic. But what about its 8-bit counterpart for the Master System and Game Gear? This is Sonic 2, the Game Gear version specifically, though we're looking at the Master System version as well today. Definitely the most prevalent of the 8-bit Sonic titles. This was everywhere. I mean, just look at this box that my Game Gear came in. Sonic 2, it was a selling point. Also, it's on this promotional poster that was inside the Game Gear box. Are these posters particularly rare? I never actually saw one until I bought this Game Gear box. Funnily enough, this was the first of the Game Gear titles I experienced. My brother-in-law was cleaning out his closet and found his old Game Gear. It's the really hard to find blue Game Gear, and inside was a copy of Sonic 2. He was gracious enough to let me try it. I didn't like it, but we'll get into that, and we'll see if my opinions have changed nowadays. So come along for today's review as we look at Sonic 2 for Master System and Game Gear. Welcome to Stuff We Play, where we believe that, yes, letting your games age can make them better, just like with wine. And if that sounds good to you, why not subscribe? And that's what I'm hoping with here. Because I didn't like this game when I first played it. But perhaps taking a look at it all these years later will change my opinion. Now we are looking at 3 different versions of them. 2 that we're focusing on and 1 more that I'll mention near the end. So let's get started. Once again in Sonic 2, the 8-bit edition, Dr. Robotnik is up to no good, so it's up to you as Sonic to stop him. But oh no! He's kidnapped Tails! By the way, fun fact, this was the first appearance of Tails in the Sonic series, as this version of Sonic 2 came out quite a bit earlier than Sonic 2 on Genesis. Well, that's a lie, it came out like a month earlier. Also, is it just me or is it really weird how Tails appears with Sonic in all of the stage opening cards, despite the fact that he's kidnapped? Once again, it's up to Sonic to go through all the zones and to collect all the Chaos Emeralds, of which there are 6. Only 6. And it's crucial that you get them. You see, once you get all the way through the game, you'll eventually come to a boss fight with Silver Sonic from Sonic 2 on Genesis. If you have all 5 previous Chaos Emeralds and upon defeating him, he will drop a 6th one. And then from there, you get to go to the final zone of the game and fight the final boss. If you don't have all the Chaos Emeralds in, it cuts to credits and it implies that Tails died. Congratulations, Sonic, it's Tails' first adventure and you fucked up. You really fucked up. But that's not to blame our Blue Hero, because this game is hard. First things first when it comes to level design, I do appreciate how original it is. Don't get me wrong, this game looks and sounds great once again. And look, Sonic even has a nose in the Game Gear version. But wow, is it hard. The first zone, Underground Zone, is a terrible first zone in the Sonic game. Tricky jumps, bullshit spike placement, especially in the Game Gear version with its screen crunch. You know how I mentioned Sonic 1 for Game Gear that seemed like they changed some of the level design around to compensate for the Game Gear screen crunch? Yeah, no, they didn't do that here, meaning that the game is exponentially easier if you play it on the Master System. In fact, they outright went and made some things harder in the Game Gear version. Take this first boss, for example, which is throwing these stone ball things at you. I have no idea what they are. They look like bombs, I guess? In the Master System version, they always have a set pattern, so you can easily dodge them. However, in the Game Gear version, their pattern is random, meaning that you're gonna die, and holy shit, you're gonna die. This is a terrible first boss in the game, and the bosses are only easier after this, until you get to the final boss anyways, but even then, he's a cakewalk once you realize that as long as you stay in this tube section, he can't hit you. And by the way, tubes, this game loves them. In fact, it really loves gimmicks. In fact, there's a zone called Gimmick Mountain Zone. Perhaps the worst of the gimmicks here has to be this hang glider here in Sky High Zone. For some reason, to control the hang glider, they turn the D-pad 90 degrees. And not only do they turn it 90 degrees, but if you hold a button, you'll dip in that direction. Meaning that you will die here a fuck ton as well. Great. This game is brutally hard. Why is it so hard? Don't get me wrong, it's easier on the Master System version because there's no screen crunch, but this is fuck. I'm not saying this is a bad game. There's elements of a great game here. And yes, there are loops this time. Yes, the game looks and sounds better than before, debatably. I actually think I like the Sonic 1 Game Gear soundtrack more. But wow, is the level design bad here? Did I mention there aren't any special stages in this game? Once again, you just find Chaos Emeralds scattered throughout the levels. I'll be honest, this one's so brutally difficult that I'd actually recommend you pass in the Game Gear version. It's too hard for its own good, especially with some of these Chaos Emeralds. I mean, how would you know to hold left here? It's just pure trial and error, and not in the fun way. If you have to play it, play the Master System version. But if you really want to see something impressive, check out this actual demake of Sonic 2 on Genesis to the Master System. Now this of course isn't official, it's fan-made, and it's called Sonic 2 LD Episode 1, because it just consists of Emerald Hill Zone plus a test zone. That looks really cool, wow. It looks and sounds great, and it's pretty much everything you'd want an 8-bit version of Sonic 2 on Genesis to be, except for the fact that you literally run through the loops here. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. As kind of a funny side note, they didn't actually replace the boss here. It's still the Underground Zone boss, but instead of throwing these little bomb balls at you, it actually throws the tires from the Emerald Hill Zone boss. Now that's a nice touch. I'd say it's definitely worth checking out. As for Sonic 2 on Game Gear Master System though, especially in regards to the Game Gear version, this one's for diehards only. I don't think it's a very good game. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad game. I take this over the heap that's Sonic 4 Episode 1 any day, but at the same time, I feel like it's too hard for its own good, and there are better Sonic games out there, such as the one that we're going to be looking at next time. Sonic 2 on Game Gear was Tails' first appearance in the Sonic series, but the first time you could actually play as him in a Sonic game on an 8-bit system was in the next game we're looking at. Sonic Chaos, known as Sonic and Tails in Japan. So, with that, before I ramble on anymore, why don't you let me know your memories of the Sonic games down in the comment section below, and while you're at, why don't you subscribe to Stuff We Play for more great content like this, or even back us on Patreon, because, well, every dollar earned from Patreon goes back into the channel itself. So with that, thank you very much for watching, stay classy, I'll see you next time.